Right.
All right. Well, Don, it's good to see you. And as we've got two NBA gurus here with us today, in addition to being winos, figured we'd start with that. So Arizona's Ben Mathurin. I think he's obviously the consensus best prospect. People are saying he's a consensus lottery pick. So as you look at him, for both of you, as you look at his game, how does it translate to the next level? What do you expect for him in the NBA?
Well, you look at the size and you look at the athleticism, it's prototypical NBA. You know, where he is now is he's a finisher. He's a finisher at the rim. He's a finisher for behind the three-point line. Now, some of that's a product of how they play. There's so much transition. Arizona doesn't play a lot in the half court, but he's more of a wing right now. He's going to have to be more like a guard at the next level. So what does that mean? It means ball screen offense. It's turning corners on ball screens, getting guys stall dribble, get the defender in jail, slide away to spots, runner floater game, stuff that we haven't seen a lot from him. Doesn't mean he can't do it. We just haven't seen it. So at his size, he's going to move. He's going to shift to be more of a guard than a wing that he is right now at Arizona. But his upside is off the charts. He's a 38% three-point shooter, and they won. And so he's helped himself tremendously this year by not only showing up in big games, but also Arizona has surprised everybody at how much they've won, and that matters on draft day. I say, PJ, he goes somewhere 10 to 20, because a lot depends on who's drafting where, but I don't think he gets nowhere near past 20th in the draft.
I'm with you. I think even possibly if there's a team not saying anything, the games everybody plays, he could go maybe just inside 10. I don't think he gets beyond 12, to be honest with you. And he's helped himself. I'm biased because we had him with the NBA Academy, so I've known him since he played for them down in Mexico City. He's gotten stronger this year. He's done good things with his body. I like that. And he's shooting the three more reliably. So I think he's ready. I agree with what you're saying. He's got to show some other things. The truth is he hasn't had to do it so far this year. That's how good Arizona's been and he's been.
Well, let me say that, though, PJ. It's like I'm not picking on Ben Mathurin. That's for any guard coming out of college to the next level, unless you run a high-level ball screen offense and you're taught and you're counted on to do all that. And I said that earlier. He hasn't had to do that for Arizona to win, and I'm not saying he can't do it. Maybe he can. He'll get the opportunity, though, in the spring when he works out for teams, because they'll want to see if he has that in his arsenal.
Yeah, no question about it. And I think he'll also, the good thing about him is he's got a good work ethic. He really wants to be a big-time player. If he's a little short right now, as often guys are going into the league, he'll work on it and he'll improve, which is a good thing.
You talk about work ethic, and I think that's something that when people talk about Harrison Ingram at Stanford, that's something that comes up as well. A really smart player, talented, expected to play at the next level. Either him or other guys around the league, Don and PJ, who stands out to you? Who thinks going to be a real prospect at the next level?
Well, Harrison Ingram eventually. I started looking today because I knew we were going to talk about this. We could have this conversation for an hour.
Let's
because you can go down the list of all the Pac-12 players that have the potential to eventually play in the NBA. There's a lot, and Harrison Ingram's one of them, but let's talk about him. Big, strong body, has had the best year of any freshman in the Pac-12 Conference. A good shooter. I think he will become a better shooter, PJ, like all players do when it's your job and all you do, and you get paid to just work on your game. He's got good mechanics on that shot, so that will improve. But the IQ, you mentioned it, Ash. I haven't seen a freshman come into our league in quite some time with the basketball IQ that Ingram has. The only thing I would say about him, and you can say this about a lot of freshmen any year of talking about this, is he kind of leaves you wanting more. And I get the unselfishness. I get the fact that he's a team player. That's great, and that will translate to the next level. But there are instances where I'm watching Ingram going, man, this dude just needs to take over. And we haven't seen enough of that, but I think he has the capability to do that. It'll be interesting to see, because most of these guys now put their name in and get the feedback and then pull out if they're not going to stay. It'll be interesting to see if he puts his name in and if he stays in this year's draft.
Well, I think he should put his name in for sure, but I also think he should come back. I think he stands to improve an awful lot. He can work on his body. I think the point you make about how smart he is great. He knows how to play basketball. And it's funny, in one sense, he's been the Cardinal best player, and in the other sense, he does defer too much. Sometimes he acts like a freshman or a non-starter, and he goes, looks to the other guys. They have other good players, but he looks sometimes like he could dominate a game from beginning to end, and we don't see that all the time. And I think that's your comment about he kind of leaves you wanting a little bit more. But I also think a little bit more college for most guys. is a good thing. And I think in his case, he doesn't need to come out right now. I hope he comes back, selfishly.
Yeah, there's so many guys, PJ. I mean, I didn't compile a list or anything, but Koloko comes to mind. He's made a huge jump this year. Is he going to put his name in? Is he going to come back? If he makes another jump, he's probably a first-rounder next year. And then there's veteran guys that have helped themselves. And one point I want to make is that what's become, and PJ, you've been around the league forever, so have I. What's become more apparent in the last 5 years to me in doing pre-draft every year like I do is these teams are interested in winning players, teams that are on or players that are on teams that win. And so when you think about Juzang and Jaquez, those two have both helped themselves because they've won the last 2 years. And if they make another run in the tournament, it's going to help them even more. Another guy that comes to mind that people are asking me about, Drew Peterson. USC won last year, got to the Elite Eight. They're winning again this year. He's now on the NBA people's radar. So it's interesting that, yes, we can break down the measurables and the skill of all these players, but a lot of times these teams want to see if you come from a winning program and if your team's won when you were there.
I'm surprised more people don't like Johnny, to be honest with you, because that size and what he's done in big games, big instances, jumps out at me. I couldn't agree more with what they want. Guys that have been on good teams have played defense. They've been made to play hard. I think coaches that are demanding of players, that's a plus for guys. When they look at him, you hear them saying that all the time. You know what's good, too? He's been coached. He's accepting of that because a lot of guys are not. A lot of guys are just best players on not good teams, and you wonder what you're going to get. They've been able to have their way all the time. Guys we're talking about, that's not been the case, and I think that speaks well to the coaching in the Pac-12, but it also speaks well to why we've got so many players in the NBA right now playing well.
Well, I got to say, guys. Okay, go ahead, Don. I'm going to get in trouble, but go ahead.
Real quick on Juzang, the thing is they don't think all his mid-game, he doesn't have a high enough release point to get that stuff off in the league. That's why he's not considered a first-rounder. But I would say this, guys that can score in high school, they can score in college, they'll probably end up scoring in the league. And I think Juzang's one of those guys.
That's from the ultimate scorer right there.
Amen. No one has scored more in the history of the league. Don, you're the man. Appreciate you. I'm told that we can't do an hour show on this, so we are going to have to say goodbye.
We just
did. Let you enjoy the game. Yeah, that's great. We don't have a B or a C or a D block. Thanks
Have a good one.
Have a good call, Don. Appreciate you.